The year is 1995, in the small town of Canavanas, Puerto Rico. A strange and unsettling series of events begins to unfold under the cover of night. Farmers wake to a gruesome and baffling sight. Their livestock, goats, sheep, chickens, lie lifeless in their pens. But this isn't the work of a stray dog or a common predator. There's an eerie precision to the slaughter. The animals are drained of blood, often through a series of small, circular puncture wounds on their necks or chests. There's almost no blood spilled at the scene, as if it were surgically removed. Fear grips the community. The local newspaper, El Vocero, gives the unseen killer a name, El Chupacabra, the goatsucker. What began as a local mystery would soon become a global legend. But its roots lie here, in the damp, tropical nights of Canavanas. The story starts not with a monster, but with a question. What was stalking the farms of Puerto Rico? The answer would be more bizarre than anyone could have imagined. The first eyewitness account, the one that gave the Chupacabra its face, came from a woman named Madeline Tolentino. One night in August, she was startled by strange noises outside her home. Peering through her window, she saw something that would be forever seared into her memory. It wasn't a dog or a coyote or any known animal. Standing in her yard was a creature unlike anything on earth. It moved on two legs, hunched over like a gargoyle. Its skin was a grayish-green, leathery and alien-looking. Large, dark eyes, almond-shaped and glowing red, dominated its face. But the most terrifying feature was the row of sharp quills or spines running down the center of its back from the base of its skull all the way down to its tail. It seemed to survey the area, its head turning with an unnerving, bird-like quickness. Tolentino was frozen with a mix of terror and disbelief. This was not an animal from a storybook. This was a living, breathing entity, and it was right outside her window. Her description, detailed and sincere, was the spark that ignited the Chupacabra phenomenon. It gave a horrifying form to the faceless terror that had been preying on the island's livestock. As news of the creature spread, so did the sightings. Then hundreds of people across Puerto Rico claimed to have seen it. The descriptions were remarkably consistent. A bipedal, reptilian-like creature with glowing red eyes and a distinctive row of spines down its back. The fear was palpable. Residents started arming themselves, forming neighborhood watch groups that patrolled the streets after dark. The phenomenon was so widespread that the mayor of Canavanas, Jose Soto, even organized an armed posse to hunt the creature down. They scoured the dense jungle of El Yunque National Forest, finding strange tracks and more dead animals. But the Chupacabra itself remained elusive, a phantom that seemed to vanish as quickly as it appeared. The media frenzy went international, and soon the Chupacabra was a household name. But for the people of Canavanas, this was no joke. It was a real and present danger, an invader from an unknown world that had turned their peaceful island into its personal hunting ground. The question on everyone's mind was the same. Where did it come from? As authorities and amateur investigators scrambled for an explanation, a plausible, if mundane, theory began to circulate. Perhaps the Chupacabra wasn't an alien or a demon, but something far more terrestrial, an escaped laboratory animal. The theory centered on the nearby El Yunque National Forest, a vast and dense rainforest that has long been a site for scientific research. Rumors suggested that a U.S. research facility hidden deep within the jungle had been conducting genetic experiments. The creature, this theory proposed, was a rhesus monkey, or a similar primate, that had been genetically altered and had somehow escaped its enclosure. This could explain its unusual appearance and bizarre behavior. A genetically modified primate might develop strange physical traits and aggressive tendencies not seen in its wild counterparts. It could also account for the creature's apparent intelligence and its ability to elude capture. The idea of a monster monkey on the loose was certainly less frightening than a visitor from another dimension. It grounded the mystery in the realm of human error and scientific hubris. This theory gained traction because it offered a rational, scientific explanation for an irrational series of events. It transformed the Chupacabra from a supernatural cryptid into a cautionary tale about the potential dangers of unchecked genetic experimentation. However, the escaped monkey theory had significant holes. Rhesus monkeys are not native to Puerto Rico, and while they can be aggressive, their anatomy doesn't match Madeline Tolentino's description. Monkeys don't have reptilian skin or a prominent row of spines running down their back. More importantly, they are not known to drain their prey of blood. The method of killing was the core of the Chupacabra mystery, and the monkey theory simply couldn't account for the neat, bloodless puncture wounds found on the victims. It was a convenient explanation, but it felt like fitting a square peg into a round hole. Skeptics pointed out that the accounts were likely a product of mass hysteria, a modern folktale fueled by media attention. They suggested that the livestock deaths were caused by packs of feral dogs, and the eyewitness descriptions were embellished or imagined. The human mind, they argued, is a powerful thing, capable of seeing monsters in the shadows when primed by fear and suggestion. This created a deep divide. On one side were the witnesses and believers convinced they had seen something truly otherworldly. On the other were the skeptics, who saw the Chupacabra as a fascinating case study in social psychology and the birth of a modern myth. The truth, it seemed, was as elusive as the creature itself. Yet there's another layer to the Yijo Kanavana's events. A detail that is often overlooked but adds a deeply unsettling and conspiratorial element to the story. In the midst of the Chupacabra panic, multiple residents reported seeing unmarked black helicopters flying low over the area, particularly at night. They also reported sightings of strange, unmarked military vehicles and personnel on the ground near the locations of livestock attacks. These weren't the familiar vehicles of the local police or the Puerto Rico National Guard. Witnesses described seeing men in dark, nondescript uniforms who seemed to be conducting their own clandestine investigation, cordoning off areas and turning away curious locals. Their presence was never officially explained. The U.S. military has facilities in Puerto Rico, including the former Roosevelt Roads Naval Station. But it has never acknowledged any special operations in Canavanas related to the Chupacabra sightings. This reported military presence raises a disturbing set of questions. If the Chupacabra was just a stray dog or mass hysteria, why would a covert military force be involved? Were they hunting the creature? Or were they trying to contain something they had created and lost? This detail shifts the narrative from a simple cryptid hunt to something far more sinister. This unexplained military activity fuels the most enduring and chilling theory of all, that the Chupacabra was not a natural creature, nor was it an alien. Instead, it was a biological weapon, or a genetically engineered organism created in a secret U.S. government lab, possibly located within El Yunque or at a nearby military base. According to this theory, the creature either escaped or was deliberately released to test its capabilities in a contained, isolated environment like Puerto Rico. The livestock deaths were not random acts of predation, they were field data. The unmarked helicopters and mystery soldiers were not there to hunt a monster, but to retrieve their lost asset and clean up any evidence, silencing witnesses if necessary. This theory ties together all the disparate elements of the story: the creature's bizarre, unnatural appearance, its surgical method of killing, and the otherwise inexplicable presence of a shadow military force. It suggests that the residents of Canavanas were unwitting participants in a terrifying secret experiment. The Chupacabra becomes a symbol not of the unknown, but of a government operating beyond public oversight, with terrifying consequences. It's a conspiracy theory, to be sure, but one that provides a chillingly logical explanation for a series of truly illogical events. Decades have passed since the strange summer of 1995. The intense wave of sightings in Puerto Rico eventually subsided. But the legend of the Chupacabra had already taken on a life of its own. The name spread across the Americas. It's becoming attached to a different creature entirely, a strange, hairless, canine-like animal, later identified by biologists as coyotes or dogs suffering from severe mange. The original creature, the reptilian spine-backed biped seen by Madeline Tolentino, has largely faded from the public consciousness, replaced by its mangy, four-legged successor. But for those who were there in Canavanas, the memory remains vivid. What did they see? Was it a case of collective delusion, a modern folktale born from fear? Was it an escaped lab animal, a product of science gone wrong? Or was it something more? Something released into the night, observed from black helicopters, a secret that was never meant to get out. We may never know for certain. The official record is silent. The files, if they exist, remain classified. The jungles of El Yunque keep their secrets well. But somewhere in the shadows of history, the original Chupacabra remains a terrifying question mark, a symbol of a mystery that was never solved, and a chilling reminder that sometimes the most frightening monsters are the ones we create ourselves. Thank you for watching. If you find these kinds of deep dives into strange history interesting, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more investigations into the unexplained. What do you think happened in Puerto Rico in 1995? Let us know your theory in the comments below. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next one.